Okay, everyone, welcome to One Show. My name is Brian, and tonight's event that I'll be discussing with you all is the question of what does Jewish look like? Now, before I go any further, I see that Caden is here with us, and I see we have three viewers and three viewers also. If you guys want to log into the chat, that would be awesome because then you can talk with me, you can engage in the chat with all of us, and it's a really good time. You have a lot of fun. Shalom to you, Caden. Okay, now I'm gonna pose a question. We'll start out here. It's the main question of topic tonight: is what does Jewish look like? If you have any thoughts you want to add to that, just please interrupt me. Jump in. And we'll put it into the discussion. Now, in preparing for this class, I actually talked to a lot of people, both Jew and Gentile, and I posed the question to them. You know, I asked them what's their thought on what do you think that Jewish looks like, and I got a huge range of answers. None of them were really wrong, but some were more right than others. So a lot of the answers I got were answers that I expected too. The most common answer that I got from a lot of people was basically the common image of Jewish people that you see a lot portrayed portrayed in the media. Like men with big black hats, long beards, black suits, women dressed very conservatively, their hair covered. It seems a lot of time I got that response most from a lot of non-Jews who maybe don't know too much about the faith, and not so much from other Jews. Maybe a few secular Jews here and there who didn't really study too much or know too much about the faith. Oh, did I disappear? Can everybody still see me? Because it's showing here on my screen that I went blank. Let me check here. Am I back now? Can you guys see me? Because I'm not seeing myself, but it's okay because I don't really need to see myself. Okay, if I disappear or go silent or anything, just give me a shout and let me know. But as long as you guys can still see me, we'll just keep on rolling with this. Okay. 'Cause I'm not seeing myself here, but that's okay as long as you guys can see me. I really don't like looking at my crazy bearded face anyway, so. So as I was saying, it seems that a lot of people have different ideas of what does Jewish look like. And if you guys any of you guys want to chime in and what do you guys think that Jewish looks like? Now, see, it's a good answer. It depends on the community, I guess. A lot of people, maybe people who don't know much about Judaism, maybe don't know Jewish people or anything, they kind of think that it sort of looks like this. See this is my little stuffed cartoon rabbi friend here, and they think that see big black hat, black and white suit, big full beard and everything. I think that is Jewish, and that's what Jewish people and just the idea of being Jewish in general looks like. Now, if the question were to be posed that say what does an ultra orthodox or ultra observant rabbi or Hasidic Jew look like, then you could say this. Obviously less cartoony, but that would work. But that's not That's not all of us. The Jewish community is everyone who's Jewish. Me, you, all the rabbis. I mean, it encapsulates from the most highly observant Jew down to even the most non-observant secular Jew. We're all Jews, so that's that's what we look like. Like I said, like how the long beard and the black clothing and the black hat. That's well, it's what a portion of what the Jewish people and what being Jewish and Jewish in general. It's what a portion of it looks like, but it's not what we all look like as a whole aesthetically. Now, uh, let me describe myself a little bit more, just to give you guys a sort of idea of the angle that I'm working here. I'm obviously not an Orthodox Jew, okay? But as you can see, I wear a yarmulke. I wear it every day. I wear a tzitzit every day, and I try to keep kosher. And as you can see, I have a pretty decent sized beard that I don't trim. I just let it go. I just let it do its own thing because I try to keep the commandment of Leviticus 19:27, which says, "You shall not destroy the side growth of your beard." Now, while this commandment, sorry, I lost my place. Sorry about that. Okay, while this commandment is meant to not copy the extreme mourning practices for the dead as pagan nations at the time had been known to practice, me personally, I prefer to wear my beard and keep it intact. And this is one of the times that my practice of Judaism and my appearance, that's one of the more conservative things that I tend to keep. Ziv asks, do you ever worry that if you are not being observant, someone will get the wrong impression? Me personally, I don't worry about what other people think, what impressions they get, because to me, what other people think and their ideas and their viewpoints and everything about who I am as a Jewish person, that that doesn't matter really. What someone else's impression about how observant or unobservant I am, to me, that's their deal. I know myself. I know what's in my heart. I know what I feel, how I represent myself. I know my faith and everything. So to me, that's all that really matters to me. It's just you learn to get thick skin. 'Cause I wear a kippah full time, but sometimes I worry someone will think look like look like that Orthodox Jew at McDonald's. Well, it's just me personally. I would say, who cares what anyone else thinks? I wear kippah every day. I wear tzitzit every day. A lot of people, I get the questions of, why do you have those strings hanging out from under your shirt? A lot of people don't understand. It's something new to them. Maybe they don't get it. To me, I'm less concerned about what other people think and the impression that it makes with them, because I know the impression that it makes upon me in my mind and in my heart, and I know that it's a very, for me, wearing my yarmulke every day, wearing tzitzit every day, it brings a feeling of it's like contentment and inner peace. I like if I'm doing something and I look down and I see my tzitzit hanging out from under my shirt. For me, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. It makes me think in my head, oh yeah, that's right. I'm keeping that commandment. I'm part of the Jewish people. I'm keeping a commandment given to us by a higher power. I'm being observant. You know, I'm not saying that those who choose not to keep that commandment are. I'm not saying that those who don't are any less Jewish or any less, you know. I'm not saying they maybe don't love or honor God any less than I do, but for me, it's just one of those things that I personally keep just because, I like the way it makes me feel. I like that feeling of knowing that I belong to this big, huge, worldwide spiritual family known as the Jewish people. Caden says, I'm just starting my journey to Judaism. My fiance just met with a rabbi yesterday, and he did not wear a kippah or tzitzit, so I suppose it's really a personal thing. Yeah, Caden, you nailed it. It's totally personal. I know with more liberal Judaism, like I've been to Reform synagogues where the only time that even the rabbi himself has kippah on is when he's reading from the Torah. So it's all just it's purely individual, and that's the beautiful thing about it. Caden says, I prefer to wear a kippah, and my fiance prefers a tichel, but that's personal choice. Yeah, you got it exactly. Like I said, I wear my kippah every day, even when, like, if I'm out and if it's like a really sunny day or something, and I have a ball cap on. My kippah is always there, whether it's under my ball cap or like right now I'm indoors. I don't really need to be wearing a ball cap, so you can see it there. But it's always there. The only time it's not there is when I'm showering or sleeping. So now my appearance is very much, like I said, a mix of it's a mix of observance and secular styles and secular fashions. Now, for me, that's what Jewish looks like. If you'd ask me, say, Bri, what is Jewish? What does Jewish look like to you? I would say, look at me. But that's just for me. That's not for anyone else. I look at it this way. Like I said, I wear a yarmulke all the time. I wear a tzitzit all the time. Um, Recently, a while back, I was at my best friend's tattoo shop that he owns, and I went there to visit him and to say hi and hang out and see what's up. And while we were there, in the course of our conversation, I ended up meeting a fellow Jew who was there. He was there with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend was getting tattooed by one of the other artists there at my friend's tattoo shop. So, he and I got to talking and everything, and this guy, he had no outward appearance of being Jewish, but he said, he introduced himself to me, said that he was a Jew as well. But he, wasn't wearing a yarmulke, wasn't wearing tzitzit, just regular street clothes and everything, But and then there's me there talking to him, big beard, yarmulke, tzitzit, and everything. I had a Star of David hanging around my neck at the time and everything, but I was no more or no less Jewish than that guy who I was talking to was, nor was he any more or any less Jewish than me. Rebecca says, it's all what it represents to yourself. I have 2 tattoos on my arms with the words remember and observe in Hebrew for part of Vahatma. That's cool. I actually myself, I have over 30 tattoos. Actually, I lost track of how many tattoos I have. Well, I lost count of how many I have when I hit 30 of them. So it's all how you represent yourself. Like what I always say is that if you want to see what Jewish looks like, if you are a Jew, and you want to see what Jewish looks like, all you got to do is look in the mirror. You know, that person you see looking back at you, that is Jewish. That is a Jewish person. You know, regardless of how observant you are, how firm you look, how or how secular you are, it doesn't matter. Still, you're a Jew. That's what Jewish looks like. Now, I'll tell you guys a story about that ties into this, and it involves my wife. Oh, Caden says, as I heard recently, what makes being Orthodox or ultra-Orthodox the gold standard? That's a part of a much larger group of people. I think making it the gold standard, um, I don't think you have to take into account who is applying the label of gold standard too. You know, because in our faith, just like in every faith, you know, you have certain individuals, you know, who may think that they're, by their certain practices or whatever, it makes them, I don't want to say more holy, but they kind of view it like a totem pole, and they think that, oh, I'm higher up here on the totem pole because I'm more observant or whatever. I just mean it's perceived that way by some. There are many other ways of it. Of course, Caden, you nailed it exactly. And see, that's the beauty. To me, that is the beauty of our faith, is that there are so many differing ways to observe. You know, there's even different ways that we all say prayers. You know, the way I say my prayers might be different from the way you guys may say your prayers, and you know, my level of observance may be different, maybe more, maybe less than some of you guys's, but at the end, you know, we're still all Jewish. We're still all the same, and that diversity, I think, makes us stronger. Is that, you know, we can all be like, okay, you know what, you're a little bit, you know, you're a little bit more observant than me, and some other person, you know, you're a little bit less observant than me, and you say all your prayers in Hebrew. I don't speak Hebrew too well. I say all my prayers in English, but that's cool. You know, we're all like, you know, it's all good, because it's all going to Hashem anyways. You know, in the end, we're all Jewish. We all still follow the same God and everything. It's all the different ways that I think makes us all stronger and brings us all together. But the diversity makes it all the more beautiful, I think. Now I'm going to tell you. Now I'm going to tell you guys a story about, you know, that ties into what does Jewish look like, and you know, people's viewpoints of the matter. Tell you a story about my wife. Now, a couple weeks ago, my wife and I were over at a friend's house, you know, just, you know, hanging out, you know, a little get together, hang out, watch a ball game, you know. And now, my wife mentioned something about being Jewish, because she is a convert. She converted to the faith so that we could keep a Jewish home. And my wife is part Hispanic, and she is very Hispanic looking. You know, but you know, being around me, she was introduced to Judaism. She learned the faith, she fell in love with it as I did, and she converted. Okay, all good, all cool. You converted, boom, you're a Jew. Now, when my wife, at this get-together we were at, my wife said about being Jewish, and as I said, you know, she was very Hispanic looking. Well, another dude who's there, who we both happen to know, kind of a friend of ours, he looks at her, he looks straight at her, and he says, Well, he goes, "You're not Jewish." And I mean, that's kind of highly offensive to tell a Jewish person you're not Jewish, especially when it's coming from a goyim. You know, someone who's not even Jewish trying to tell someone else who says that they're Jewish, you know, trying to tell them you're not Jewish. That's you know pretty offensive. That's pretty hurtful. A pretty hurtful thing to say. And so I you know, obviously my wife says, well, yeah, I am Jewish. You know, I went through conversion. I'm converted and everything. You know, I'm Jewish, just like my husband. I'm Jewish, and this, yeah, yeah. I guess 382. You're right. That hurts. It's also really, really, yeah, Rebecca. It is. It's a dagger to the heart because you know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm proud to be Jewish. I love being Jewish. I'm proud to be Jewish. My wife loves being Jewish. She is proud to be Jewish. You know, it's what we believe. It's how we live. It's what we stand up for. And for someone to come along and say, you know, because of some idiotic preconceived notion, you know, it's flat out, it's rude. And so I was talking to the dude, and I'm like, well, yeah. I'm like, yeah. She, you know, after she said, yeah, well, I am Jewish, and I jumped in because, you know, that's my wife. You got to stick up for your wife. And I jumped in, and I'm like, well, yeah, dude, you know, she's Jewish, and he says to me, she can't be Jewish, and I'm like, why not? And he says, and I quote, because Jews are white. And there's just silence right now. I'm just like, really? Really? Obviously, now, this guy is not Jewish. He's actually a Roman Catholic. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Caden. That is terrible. But he's like, you know, he's like, Jews are white. He had this stereotype or impression or false information or whatever that in his mind he believed that Jewish people and Judaism in general is a religion of white people and for white people only. That's right, Rebecca. Yeah, and Jews can't. Rebecca says, and Jews can't be Italian or Asian or German or whatever. That's a load of crap. You are, Rebecca. You are so right. You know, there are actually. I pulled back out of my head that somehow I did some research, and I somehow remembered this. Is that there are actually, like, my wife is. That's right, Caden. There's no cookie cutter for being Jewish. My wife is half Mexican, and I did some research and found out that of the last census taken in the country of Mexico, there are about 40,000 Mexican Jews. So that kind of flies the whole idea that only white people are Jewish. That kind of lets that fly right out the window. I know it's like what Rebecca said, you know, there are Italian Jews, there are Asian Jews, there are German Jews, you know, just whatever. Jewish is, yeah, we are. We're everywhere. We're everywhere, and we are awesome. There are, you know, Jews of every race. We are, Jewish is not a race, you know, because I converted to Judaism. My wife converted to Judaism. You can't convert to a race. I mean, we are a group of people, you know, but we're not like a race in the idea of, like, you know, black, white, Hispanic. No. Ellen says, my best friend is in an interracial marriage and their son is interracial and their daughter is adopted from Guatemala. We talk about how the kids see themselves. Yes, that's right, guest 382. Back in 1400, there were a lot of Jews in Spain. Unfortunately, they were all exiled at some point after that. And I believe a lot of them went to England and were eventually exiled from there too. That's just anti-Semitic player hating, I guess you could call it. Make an experiment wasn't repealed until the 1960s. Isn't that something? So technically, if you were a Jew living there in 1959, you technically weren't supposed to be living there, and under their law, you didn't have any right to live there. I think that's a sad commentary on the state and the mindset of just the human, a lot of members of the human race at that time, where you could see something as really as small as a person's religion as a reason to exile them and just be like, you know what, we don't want you around. To me, that's really sad that people can do that. And sad thing is it still happens even today in some parts of the world. And unfortunately, you still find it everywhere. You find a lot of small-minded people. Case in point, small-minded people. This guy that I know that tried to tell my wife, you can't be Jewish because you're Hispanic. Please open your mind a little bit. Yes, Caden. Caden says, can't convert to a race, but I feel it's the Jewish community, not the Jewish race. That's how I like to look at it. I love that. We are a community. I like to say that we're a family. We all care about each other's well-being and everything. We all want each other to be okay. We all stick up for each other when the chips are down. So to me, it's more than just community. To me, it literally feels like a really, really big worldwide family. Like when I converted, I felt like I was being adopted into a really large, loving family. And to me, that was one of the greatest feelings of the world. That's right, Caden. One God, one Torah, one shul. That's right. So I was checking my notes here, which are a little bit hard to read because right as I was printing them out, my printer started to run out of ink. So I've kind of got this nice little fade going here. Yeah, like we were saying, that Jewish doesn't look like any one thing. It doesn't look like any one race. Doesn't look like any one group of people. We're diverse. Like I said, there are white Jews, black Jews, Asian Jews. Case in point, totally drew a blank there. Okay, I'm back. The R&B group, Boys the Men, they're all Jewish. I actually was watching a documentary about them, and they actually all met at synagogue in Philadelphia. So right there, that blows anyone's idea of saying that that being Jewish is a religion for white people, and only white people are Jews. That blows that right out the window right there. So it brings us sort of back to full circle. So what does Jewish look like? It looks like me. It looks like you. Everyone here in this room, like I said before, you want to know what Jewish looks like, go look in the mirror. Because we all make that up. Whether you're ultra-Orthodox, non-Orthodox, any range of observant, or even if you're non-observant at all, even if you're totally secular, if you want to know what Jewish looks like, all you have to do is look in the mirror. And what you see in that reflection is what Jewish looks like. Because there's no one set code or set way of how Jews look or how being Jewish is supposed to look. Basically, you do whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable. Me, I choose to, wear my yarmulke all the time, to wear my tzitzit all the time. Yeah. I even have, I even have multiple stars of David tattooed on me. I have biblical scriptures tattooed on me, Hebrew lettering and everything tattooed on me. For me, that's what makes, to me, that's what, is me representing what's on the inside, showing it on the outside. Your appearance, a person's appearance really has no bearing on how Jewish that you are. It's what's inside your mind and what's inside your heart that makes you Jewish, regardless of whether or not you choose to represent it externally or not. And really think about it, God doesn't see the external of a person. He sees what's inside your mind and what's inside your heart. That's what matters to Him the most. So, is God concerned whether or not, if I were to take my kippah off right now, is God really concerned about that? I don't think so. Is God concerned with, do I believe in Him and His ultimate oneness and try to live my life in the ways that He has set forth before us, and that I be kind to everybody else and try to treat my fellow man with loving kindness and judge others righteously and give everyone the benefit of the doubt and try to do whatever I can to make this world as close to being Olam Haba as possible until the day that actually comes. I think that's more what God's concerned with. I don't think He's really concerned with what our bodies look like, what we put on the outside of our bodies, what clothes we wear. It's what's in here and up here in your head that He's really concerned about. Anybody else have anything they'd like to add? No? I'd also like to add and talk about, do you guys all remember, or I think it was around December of last year, and this ties in pretty well, I think, with what we're here discussing and talking about tonight. You guys all remember? I think it was sometime around December of last year. I remember it was right before Hanukkah started that there was a huge rigmarole made about when Matisyahu shaved his beard. You guys all remember that? Everybody made, in the Jewish blogosphere went nuts. Everybody's like, oh, Matis shaved his beard, he's not Jewish anymore, or whatever, and it's like, oh, he's not observant anymore, or he's not Hasidic anymore, or he's not a Jew anymore because he shaved his beard. And I remember thinking about it, and I'm like, initially it was shocking. Not so much from, well, I can only speak for myself, but to me it was initially shocking just because the drastic physical transformation. I can imagine, if I just one day out of the blue just shave my beard off, everyone I know around me would be shocked because I've had this for almost a year now, and everyone, and there are people I know who have never seen me without it. So in that aspect, it was more on when Modest shaved his beard off. It was, for me, it was just a drastic aesthetic visual shock. But there were a lot of people, and like I said, the whole Jewish blogosphere just blew up about it. Oh, he's not observant anymore. He's not this anymore. He's not that. There's even people saying that, oh, he's not Jewish anymore, or that because he shaved his beard, it somehow made him less of a Jew. And to me, I just think that was just all baloney, and it ties into what we're talking about tonight, is because ultimately, you know, Jewish is what's inside you. You know, it can be represented by what you put on the outside of your body. You know, whether it be letting your beard grow or whatever. You know, but ultimately, it's inside you. It's inside your heart and everything. And if you if you shave your beard off, it's just like dyeing your hair a different color. It just changes a certain aspect of you visually and aesthetically. It doesn't change who you are on the inside. You know, and we all go through periods of personal change too. You know, I think in with the whole Modest Yahoo situation, that with him it was just, you know, any change he does or any personal evolution that he goes through has to be done in the public eye. And sometimes when you're changing as a person, when you're evolving as a person, it can be hard enough because, you know, maybe you're transitioning into a new and improved version of yourself or something. And that can be hard enough to adjust to sometimes. It can be invigorating and thrilling, but sometimes it can be a little scary too. And it's hard enough to go through that personally yourself, but then imagine having to go through it in the public eye and have everybody, you know, criticizing you and, you know, all of a sudden doubting your faith. You know, to me, that's crazy. That's just totally crazy. And I see, you know, the example of when Modest shaved his beard off. To me, that was one of the things that reinforced the idea is that, you know, there's no such one cookie cutter idea of what Jewish looks like, you know. You know, you can go from looking, as he did, you can go from, you know, looking pretty much like an ultra-Orthodox Hasidic rabbi to just looking like some guy hanging out just at 7-Eleven, and guess what? Still Jewish, still the same. Doesn't matter. Anything else that you guys would like to bring up? Because I think we should be about drawing this to a close here. Anything else? Anything you guys like to bring up, talk about, discuss? No, it looks like it's all quiet, so it looks like we're good here. Okay, well then, before I close this out, I will tell you, we'll get to the part where we ask for a donation here at One Shul. You know, we ask that if you attend a class here, that you give, you know, $5. That's like, I know Patrick always says that that's a Starbucks Frappuccino. For me, $5 is a couple bottles of these because I'm a ridiculous caffeine soda addict. So, I mean, if you attend a class here or something, if you want to donate $5, great. That'd be awesome. Really appreciate that. It takes about $100 a month to run One Shul, and there's about five or six of us here. So if we all donated $5, that gets us almost halfway to what we need to keep this running for another month. And as always, you can do like what I do. You can volunteer your time here. You can teach classes, you know, be a prayer service leader, just whatever you want to do. Just you can donate right from the site, right on the site, right here on the top. You see where it says donate up there. Underneath contact here, there's all the information you need to make a donation. So with that, I'll thank you guys all for being here. It was so much fun being here with you guys. As always, thank you. I thank each and every one of you for coming. It was great spending this last close to an hour with you guys. And I will hang around in the chat for a couple minutes once I get everything wrapped up with the broadcast here, in case you guys want to hit me up if you have any questions or anything. or if you just want to shoot the breeze with me about any old thing, I'll be there. And also, my name, Brian Reitmeyer, is the first one there in the chat. That's my Facebook. If you guys want to be in contact with me, I encourage you. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you guys. So, with that, I will leave you with two words I always like to leave everybody with when I'm on here. Ahava and Shalom. That's love and peace, and I wish love and peace on every one of you guys. Thank you for being here. It was a lot of fun. Good night, everybody.